Hello, hello. Welcome to our Kintone live stream. Here I am. My name is Nim. I'm our technical evangelist here at Kintone. I've got my buddies and colleagues, Genji and Will.
Hey,
Hey, fellas.
how you doing?
You guys ready to get your build on today?
Yep. Genji and I are joining in from Japan.
Hello.
It's 10 a.m.
Oh, that's
Nim
awesome.
from California.
6 p.m.
All right.
And I know there's going to be a lag in the question. So Genji, do you mind just keeping an eye out on those any questions that come in and feed them to me? Not even sure I've got all the windows open, but I got the most important window open, so that'll be enough. Hey fellas, what say we jump in?
All right.
So first you might be wondering, all right, these guys are all from this company called Kintone. What is Kintone? Kintone, very simply, is it's a platform for building apps. It's a no-code, low-code platform. If you've got workflows, if you've got processes, the same processes over and over again, and you want to make it easy to collaborate on, easy to work on with teams, Kintone's your boy. And what's really neat about it is you can build stuff on the platform with JavaScript. So Will and Genji and I have been itching to build some JavaScript extensions. So what do I mean by that? Well, you can create client-side JavaScript customizations that are then executed on the hosted platform. So there's all sorts of opportunities to be creative. We're excited about is we're gonna work on a plugin today called the Table Utility Plugin. And what it does is the default Table Utility Plugin lets you take a record. So you might be wondering, like, oh, what's a record? Like, I guess I should back up. When you're building apps on Kintone, you can imagine an app as like a spreadsheet in a workbook or a table in a database. And what you can do is you put items in there, what we call records. With those records, typically you can imagine, like, you've got text fields, you've got drop downs, you've got radio buttons. But what's pretty unusual about Kintone is you can actually have tables inside of the record. So you can actually imagine that as like, imagine if like Excel, if each cell could have any number of tables inside of that cell. So what we're going to do in just a few moments is we're going to show you what it looks like in Kintone, what exactly are these tables that we're talking about. Over here is Kintone, the no-code, low-code platform. Oops, let's try that again. Kintone, the no-code, low-code platform. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with this expense report app. And looks like we've got some sample records already. We're going to take a look at like itemized expenses in an expense report. So this is what a record is. And inside of a record, we've got different fields. We've got a table. You can put new rows in the table, get rid of those rows. And then when I was saying like table in a table, you can look at it from like a list of records perspective, and we can actually see those items in the table inside of a table. So tables inside of tables.
Hey.
There it is. What we're going to do is we're going to do something with these tables. So you might notice there's an order over here. 1, 2, 3. That, if I create a new line item, let's say today we're going to create a Transformers toy, and it's in it's materials, and it's a $10
All through
toy. We're going to
company
give this,
expenses.
yeah, I'm going to give this as a reward, right? So you see that we've got this, like these numbers that automatically updated, and this is what our table utility plugin does. It automatically numbers rows inside of the table. What we're going to do today is we're going to hijack this plugin. I say hijack very loosely. We're with full permission. We're opening up that plugin behavior. It's all JavaScript, and we're going to add another behavior to it. We're going to be able to sort these expenses by date, ascending or descending.
So I think the important thing is like creating the table inside the table is part of Kintone's native features, and then that automatic numbering of that table isn't actually part of the native feature of Kintone, and is part of the plugin. And you can think of plugins as like a Kintone version of a Chrome extension. Like Chrome extensions have a lot of JavaScript inside, and they help you out with your daily needs on your web browsing needs. And basically, plugins are the same thing. They just have a lot of packaged JavaScript inside, and they help you out with any sort of Kintone needs that you have. Any sort of automation that you need can be placed in that plugin. All right.
And they make it so that anyone who has a non-technical background can make the appropriate configurations without needing to touch any code. So it's like a packaged extension, and it's got a settings page, very much just like what Will was saying, that Chrome extensions, many of them have settings pages, and they just do stuff to certain pages.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all like, pre-hype for the experience, because what we're really going to do now is we're going to get into the fun part with the JavaScript, and so let's take it away. Just want to check in. Can we see desktop.js at the top?
Yes.
All right, terrific.
We have Nem in the futures cap saying, hey, yeah.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Ready to learn some JavaScript? We're going all in over here. We've opened up this plugin, and what you see is basically a plugin. It's got like a settings page, like I was saying. This is called config. Then it's got like the page, then it's got the file, the script where you can you do stuff basically based on the configuration that you set. And then you've got a whole bunch of CSS and HTML to make sure that the plugin looks nice, that the settings page is set up the way that you want, and then a manifest file so that when Kintone, when you upload the plugin to Kintone, that Kintone knows what to do with all these files and where it finds the things that it's looking for. So what we're going to do over here, we're going to get into JavaScript, and what we see immediately when we jump in is this immediately invoked function expression. So what we're doing is we're making sure that that all of this code that we're writing is going to be kept inside of the scope of this function. It doesn't leak out into the global scope. And we've got this ES5 kind of use strict setting over here. So we're going to make sure that we're coding according to good conventions. Well, right out of the gate, we want to grab the current configuration that the user set up, and that's what we see over here. There's this Kintone object that's made available. We're going to pluck off this method called getConfig, and we're going to look for the specific plugin that we've uploaded. We're passing that in as a parameter into the function, and it's found over here with Kintone on that Kintone object. Now, I'm going to spend a little bit of time walking through the table utility plugin the way that it is, and then we'll spend time building that new piece of functionality around it. Okay.
All right.
Oh my gosh, I love it, Will. Having you as like a hype man is a lot of fun.
I'm just having fun and having some spicy chai latte.
Spicy chai latte. I've got my water bottle right over here. There we go. No,
Spicy
still not.
chai latte
There it
from
is.
Japan 7-Eleven.
Oh man, those Japan 7-Elevens are otherworldly. I think the
Oh
United
yeah.
States would be a much better place with a Japan style 7-Elevens because our US 7-Elevens are shameful.
I did go visit them. It was a really strange experience. I'm like, oh, 7-Eleven, I see loads of those in Japan, but they're probably more originated in the US.
You know, it's such a difference for me when I walk into a 7-Eleven in the US and I don't find anything that I'd want to eat. And then I walk into a 7-Eleven in Japan and there's like so many things that I would want to eat.
They sell everything,
And
steamed buns, and
all of it's very inexpensive.
yeah, I know. It's amazing.
Those all those onigiri rice balls in Japan are like, 150 yen plus minus.
Mm,
It's like $1.20.
yeah, so this
Believe
was like $1.20-ish.
Oh my
So
gosh. Envious. I've got that 7-Eleven envy. Over
it
here in the
seems,
US, like those kind of rice balls, like stuffed rice balls, those onigiri will be like $3. I
yeah,
can't
because it's got the Japan brand on it, so it
I
ticks
can't
up
bring
on price.
I can't bring myself to buy a bunch of rice with a small piece of delicious in it for $3. Let's keep going with this coding stuff. So what we're doing over here is we're creating some variables. We're creating the table field and the number field. So so if you remember when we were talking about those tables, um, you know what? I'm gonna try sharing my screen, like sharing the desktop, and then I can just pull it down. So maybe that'll help make it be a little bit easier to
Yeah,
follow.
yeah.
Um,
Do you want to show like what it looks like in the settings, and also I guess where we got it from is another thing.
oh, interesting. I'm not. It doesn't look like I'm able to push to like drag and drop a window. Hold on a second.
No worries.
We're gonna play a little bit with this. So in Kintone, I basically, if I'm going to be doing any kind of table auto numbering, then what I need is I need to define a table, and then I need to
Hmm.
define this specific field where that numbering is happening, and then I need to tell Kintone to make that numbering happen when I am saving an edit.
Hmm.
Um, and then I also need it to, if you see it like it like prevents these fields from being edited. So when I open up the page to be edited, it needs to like lock me out of these fields.
Hmm.
And then I also need to keep track of each row so that I know what order it's in. So knowing that, then if I then go back to my code, it's exactly what I see over here. I need to identify the unique table field that I'm going to be doing the auto numbering on. I'm going to be identifying the number field that I'll be doing that auto numbering on. The specific events where I'll be disabling the editing of the field. The specific events where I will be numbering the table rows, and then I need to keep track of the rows. And so what we're doing is when we are grabbing this table and this number from this config object that we populated up above with this with these configuration settings. So I'm just plucking them off of this configuration object, and I'm defining the events where I'll be disabling things. These are Kintone specific events. So a browser might have events like on page load or whatnot. But with Kintone, we expose events so that it makes it easier to hook behavior into the specific things that you want to hook the behavior into. So we've got events like app.record.edit.show, so on and so forth. This just means like when we're on the page, on the editing page, or when we're creating a new record. And these edit.change.table fields when I'm changing a table field, or when I'm whether I'm changing a table field when I'm editing a record or I'm creating a new record. And all of these times I want to be able to disable those fields. And so then I've got this Kintone.events.on behavior. And what this is telling me is just like when I'm in any of these events, do the following. Well, what am I doing exactly? I'm going to basically identify the length of the table. And then this is essentially, we're going to get into this record object in just a second, but basically like get me the length of the table and then increment the value of each number field by 1. No, I'm sorry. That's not what's happening over here. Identify the length of the table, and then for each row in the table, prevent that number field from being edited. Okay. Now you might wonder, what is this record thing that's going on? Well, every time I am, this is part of our Kintone API. So every time that I am hooking some behavior into an event, that Kintone exposes that event as like a parameter that it passes in. And what I'm doing is I modify that event and then I return it. And that's how Kintone manages the state of its data. So there's the data on the page, and then there's sort of the data that's been exposed to me in the event object, that when everything is done and that event is returned, Kintone will update the data in its essentially its store accordingly. Something's very similar is happening on the number side. So I basically, now that I've disabled all of those fields in the rows that I wanted to disable, I want to also now fill them with the right values. And so on those, so when I am saving a new record or when I am saving an existing record after having edited it, here I go again. I'm going to expose that event record, and I'm picking off a specific value off of that event object called event.record. Record is an object of basically like all of the data that I have in that record. What I'm going to do again is I want to figure out how many rows I've got, and then I want to update the value of that that number field in each row, and then save it. And that's it. That's the table utility plugin. And what it gives me is the kind of behavior that we saw before that I'll go ahead and I'll show again, which is, I go ahead and I edit a record, and you can see that these number fields are disabled. And then if I remove a row, or if I add a row, that you see it says 1, 2, 4, but after I am on this save event, it'll update it to 1, 2, 3. So what do we want to do now? Well, we want to be able to sort these by dates. And so we're going to put in some more behavior to this app. Sorry, to this plugin. Okay. Well, let's do that. The first thing we want to do is we want to target this date field. And then think about it, right? We're going to target this date field, and then we want to do some kind of sorting behavior on the row that, once the dates are sorted in a particular way, have the rows change order to reflect the sorting of the dates. And so what do we need to add over here? Well, let's take a look.
Just a reminder that you can get this plugin on the developer website. If you go to plugins and then sample plugins, you'll find the plugin that does the table numbering. And we're basically hosted that on GitHub, so you can fork it. And we're basically just taking a copy and changing it right now.
Yeah, great call out, Will. What we're going to do right now is we're going to add some more. We're going to add some more code. Let's create a variable that's going to handle our the events where we want the sorting behavior to happen. We also want to be able to identify what we're sorting by and to order by. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to hook this behavior onto the click of a button. So we'll go ahead and we're going to create a button. What else do we want to do? Well, creating a button is going to involve us dynamically creating HTML elements using JavaScript. For that, we're going to use our old good friend jQuery to give us an assist over here. And so I'll pass in the jQuery library into this immediately invoked function expression. Well, where does that leave us? So, so button field is actually going to be, it's going to come from it's going to be the field that we've created called like a blank space element. And we're going to put a button over there. You can imagine it like a blank space element is like a placeholder for JavaScript for various elements that we'll put on the page. And this value sort by, we're also going to pull off of that config. Sort by. All of these settings are going to be done by configuration. So what do I mean by that? Let's, I'm going to skip out to the configuration page of our desired result so that we can see what that settings page is going to look like. Mm-hmm. Great. So here I am in the back end of the expense report, and I'm going to this plugin, this table utility plugin, and let's take a look at what we're talking about. So we want a row number. So sorry, we want like the field where we will be doing that auto numbering. So this is what we were doing before, and then we added. Okay, we're going to want to add a place where like an element where we will hook a button into. We'll dynamically place that button, and then the sorting preference. This is the what we're going to be sorting by and what we're going to be ordering by. Okay, back to the code.
What our final plugin settings will be looking like.
Exactly. So we've got this. So those settings, we're gonna pick them off. Config.button, config.sort by, config.sort order, and then we want some delicious events-based behavior. So on these sort events, we're going to do a bunch of stuff. Oops. And then ultimately we're going to return the event. So what do we want to do? Well, first, let's clarify what these sorting events are. We've got two events that we want to hook this behavior into. And both of them are basically when we are creating a new record or editing an existing record. Oh, what's going on? Oh, my bad. Did I fat finger object notation when I meant array notation?
Yes.
Oh, you know, there are penalties for that.
So we did name this sort events, but ultimately this event is there to create the button that has a click function inside.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, we want to have that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, and that click function itself will have the sorting algorithm inside.
Yes. And we do want to set up that sorting function so that when the button is clicked, this is what happens. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that right now. We're going to use a method off of that Kintone object called record get. What this is going to do is it's going to get our values. Because the event-based behavior, we want to show the button on these sort events, but we want the sorting to happen on a button click. We are not going to rely on this events-based behavior to get us our record data. That's what this is for. This gets us our record data independently of the events-based hook. And we want to sort the table values. So what we'll do is let's pick off the value of the table. This is going to get us all of our rows. And we want to sort those rows by some function. What function, you may ask? Well, that's a great question. So first, if you're ascending order, then you'll do a bunch of stuff. If you're in descending order, you'll do a bunch of different stuff. And if neither, then you'll return 0. All right, so what do we need to do? So we're gonna, so if it's ascending, the value of one row of the, again, what we're sorting by, the value of that sort by field is smaller than the value of the other sort by field, then, oops, return -1. What happens if it's the other way around? No surprise over here. We'll change this. And then let's grab these bad boys and drop them over here. And we'll switch this around. So this is how we handle the sort order. And then once we do that sorting, we are going to change the value of the record by having updated the order of the fields in the table. We now set the new data back in Kintone. All right, so this is the behavior, but now we need to create the button. So let's go ahead and do that now. We'll create a button and assign it a function. And let's go ahead and do that. So jQuery to the rescue. Gonna make our lives much easier with less code because you're a great library. And what I just did was I used a method on the Kintone object called getSpaceElement. If you are sensing a trend here where I say we're using an existing method on the Kintone object, that's the point. We make it really easy for you to do some great, cool JavaScript customization and hook into a ton of awesome parts of our open API. So over here we get this like placeholder basically. I get the placeholder called button field because there could be multiple placeholders on the page. They need to be uniquely identified. Get the one called button field. Remember, we set that in the configuration area. And what are we going to do with it? jQuery, making life easier with stuff. We're going to create an input element, and we're going to give it attributes. Are you ready? I hope so. Value sort. So what's happening is cool kid JavaScript is coming in and telling HTML to stand by. We're going to do some science. And I'm just going to drop this on the next line. Append to button. We are going to take an input element and we're going to give it some attributes. Like in other words, we're going to make it a button. We're going to give it a value sort, which is what the label on the button will look like, and we'll give it an ID that we can use in the backend called sort, and then we're going to append it to this space element that we've created over here. And
Ooh.
That's part
You're
one.
just
Part
butting
two.
in here. We do have a question in the YouTube chat. Are there any plans to have this as a native feature instead of a plugin in the future?
Ooh, that's a great question. Table sorting as a native feature. If I were a developer for Kintone, which I'm not, I'm I'm our technical evangelist. But if I were developing Kintone and I had, and I were had a crystal ball, I don't think that table sorting would be on the list of things to be putting into our backlog or taking out of our backlog anytime soon. And I'll tell you why. Because the neat thing about Kintone is it's a really sophisticated platform where you can build a ton of stuff. So there are lots of companies using it in a lot of different ways. And we created this platform so that you can build stuff on it too that you see as valuable. But there's stuff that by virtue of it's being our platform, we can build that you can't. So we're probably going to focus on building those things and empowering you to build stuff that you want that we've given you a ton of latitude to build. So that's my unofficial answer as our official technical evangelist.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Although the feature itself is useful, the settings for it will become more complex and complex. If we start putting more features inside, it's going to be complex for a lot of customers. So this should be really implemented by developers and partners who can implement it specifically for their customers, and they'll value those developers and partners more if you're able to do that for them.
Yeah. Well, I think you're raising a really great point, which is that we've got to strike this balance between making a product that is accessible even to people who are allergic to technology, but at the same time sophisticated enough to meet the needs of very complex use cases. And so one of the ways that we've struck that balance is by doing this kind of JavaScript creating these, like enabling this kind of JavaScript customization for the people who need more heavier lifts or more nuanced needs. And that's where we've tried to meet everybody. Well, I don't want to say everybody, but that's where we've tried to meet our customer base where it's at. Great question. Great question.
Great question. Thanks for the question.
Yeah. So what I've got over here is I just snuck this last line in when Genji was asking the question, but what we've done is we've appended this button, and what we're going to do is on click, we're going to do that sorting function. Okay. And that's it. That's it, folks. Super easy. If you are fluent in JavaScript, if you've never seen JavaScript before, this is wizardry of the highest order. So I guess super easy really depends on your background. And perhaps is unfair for me to say, but in any case, we did it. We built we took this table utility function. We've built some more behavior for sorting. We set it up so that on certain events, there's a button that shows up. When you click on that button, it sorts the table rows. Now let's go ahead and we'll see it in action. Back at this bad boy, remember the button location. This is where we assigned the unique ID to the button. This is where I picked what I'm sorting by, and this is where I picked the order of ascending or descending. Okay, so let's check out this record. The these workshop post-event survey gift cards. So, and let's go into, there we go. Here we go. January 12th, January 7th, January 16th. I'm going to go ahead and edit the record. And there I go. Here's the sort button. Notice it wasn't there before. And then when I edit on that event hook, that button shows up. When I click it, it's going to change this order. Boom, there it did it. And now I hit save. Let's see if we can stump it. Where are those dev to carbon ads? We definitely need more Transformers toys. We should start like giving away Transformers toys, for special people on our live stream. We can like we can have, you guys go to Akihabara and like pick up some like really, crazy Japanese toys and then send them across the ocean or something.
All you non-Japanese people think everything is in Akihabara.
I mean, though, isn't it though? For if I'm gonna look for Transformers toys in Japan, in Tokyo, Akihabara would be
Yeah, I would say
my
Akihabara, but there's a higher percentage that's going to be in Nakano. It's where
Nakano.
you find, yeah, Nakano is where you probably will find more of the old school stuff.
Is that a neighborhood?
Yeah,
Is that like a neighborhood in Tokyo? Or is that like a different? It's a
yeah,
city.
it's pretty close to Shinjuku.
Okay.
So Akihabara, you'll find more of the high tech stuff, the more up to date stuff.
Oh, I was
Nakano's
imagining
more
like
like subcultural
high
area.
tech Transformers. So it's the kind that you'd pay $50 for. We're gonna go ahead and save this record, and it's gonna change the sort order over here. Oh no, sorry, my
So,
bad. My bad. No, no,
oh,
no. I didn't click the button.
I didn't click
Whoops.
the button.
There it is.
Right. So just a recap on that. So as soon as Nim basically clicked the edit button, um, basically the event that triggered is the event called app.record.edit.show, and that's where Kintone starts to find the space element inside that Kintone record. It
Yeah.
finds it, and then it creates a button, which is the sort button that we see on the screen right there.
Yeah.
And
Well, let
we've
me.
added a, yeah, sorry,
Oh no,
I'll
sorry. Go
pass it
ahead.
over.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
oh, okay, yeah.
I was.
And that
I was gonna.
was, we just added a click function to that sort button, which does all that sorting.
I was
And
gonna
I'll
take them.
pass back to
I
them.
was. I was gonna pull back the curtain and show them that space element because they can't see it here. But really, if you
Oh,
go
yeah, yeah.
into our form builder, where you drag and drop fields to build a Kintone app, and this is, by the way, is like the magic juice of Kintone. This is what people love about this platform because if you're allergic to technology, you'll just drag and drop whatever you need from the left-hand side to the right-hand side and move it around, right? And get rid of it, or edit the field. But over here, we've got this little magic box of nothing, and this is an element ID called button. We created. We were referring to that. Um, the plugin referred to that in its configuration page, so it knew, hey, if we've got multiple blank space elements at different parts of the page, we want to figure out which one is the one that we're going to be hooking the button into. So that's why it's showing up over here. And in fact, if we change this around, let's say we move it up to that expense report label, watch what's going to happen. We'll go ahead and we'll edit the record. Oh my gosh, surprise of all surprises. The button is moved.
And you didn't need any code to change that position.
Yeah, not for that. Cool. Well, boys, I think our work here is done.
All right.
Anybody have any questions on our live stream? Well, just want to thank you all for coming to hang out with us today. We're going to keep on trying out these live streams. If you've been joining us for our workshops, you're in for a treat. These live streams, there's a little bit more. It's a little bit more of a different tone. But if you wanna do like deeper dives with our workshops,
You just search Kintone Developer Program. Go to the Kintone Developer Program website. The events is in like the actual online events can be seen on the front page, and then you can access the links from there.
I'm doing it old school style. Like if they don't have Kintone Developer
Yeah.
Program in their history, they can find it on Google. And there's our workshop list. There's our live coding, our upcoming. We've got a session on React, and our REST API. So what you can expect is it's going to be me and Genji and Will. It's going to be similar kinds of shenanigans, and no promises on that transformer toy yet, though.
We'll look into it.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
With that in mind, we bid you adieu.